Cameron Rodriguez had always believed that the best friendships were built on mutual support during crisis situations, but they never imagined that their crisis management skills would involve helping their best friend Ethan navigate the treacherous waters of ex-boyfriend drama at a crowded college party. Cameron was a junior at Pacific University, majoring in communications with a focus on conflict resolution, skills that apparently made them the go-to person when their friends needed help with complicated social situations. Ethan Walsh had been Cameron's closest friend since their freshman year, when they had been randomly assigned as roommates and discovered an immediate compatibility based on shared interests in independent films, obscure music, and the kind of intellectual conversations that could last until 3 in the morning. Their friendship had survived Ethan's relationship with Derek Miller, a psychology major who had seemed perfect for Ethan until their dramatic breakup 6 weeks ago had left Ethan emotionally devastated and convinced that he would never find love again. The breakup had been particularly painful because Derek had initiated it just before spring break, claiming that he needed space to focus on his senior thesis and graduate school applications. But within 2 weeks of their supposedly amicable separation, Derek had been spotted around campus with Marcus Chen, a charismatic pre-med student who seemed to represent everything that Ethan felt he lacked in terms of social confidence and academic achievement. "I just don't understand," Ethan had confided to Cameron during one of their late-night processing sessions in their shared apartment. If Derek needed space to focus on academics, why is he suddenly dating someone who's even busier and more academically demanding than I am? It feels like he just didn't want to be with me specifically, and the thesis excuse was just a polite way of ending things. Cameron had listened to variations of this conversation for weeks, offering support and perspective while watching their normally confident and optimistic friend struggle with self-doubt and romantic disappointment. Ethan was a theater major with natural charisma and genuine kindness that had always attracted people to him, but Derek's rejection had shaken his confidence in ways that were painful to witness. The situation came to a head when Derek and Marcus were expected to attend the same end-of-semester party that Ethan had been looking forward to for weeks. The party was being hosted by their mutual friend group, making it impossible for Ethan to avoid his ex-boyfriend without sacrificing his own social connections and enjoyment of the celebration. "I can't handle seeing them together," Ethan told Cameron while they got ready for the party, his hands shaking slightly as he attempted to style his hair with his usual precision. "Everyone's going to be watching to see how I react, and I don't want to give Derek the satisfaction of knowing how much he hurt me." Cameron felt a surge of protective loyalty toward their best friend, combined with frustration at Derek's apparent insensitivity in flaunting his new relationship so quickly after their breakup. What if we had a plan for handling the situation? Something that would help you feel more confident and in control? Ethan looked up from his reflection in the bathroom mirror, hope and desperation mixing in his expression. "What kind of plan? I can't exactly avoid them all night, and I definitely can't pretend that seeing them together doesn't bother me." Cameron considered various strategies for helping Ethan navigate the social minefield of encountering an ex-boyfriend with their new partner at a party where everyone would be observing the dynamics and potential drama. "What if we went to the party together as a couple? Not a real couple, obviously, but presenting ourselves as romantic partners so that Derek sees you've moved on and is happy with someone new." Ethan's eyes widened as he processed Cameron's suggestion. "You would do that for me? Pretend to be my boyfriend just to help me save face in front of my ex?" Cameron felt a flutter of something complicated at the idea of pretending to be romantically involved with Ethan, but they pushed the feeling aside in favor of focusing on their friend's immediate emotional needs. "Of course I would. That's what best friends do. We support each other through difficult situations, and if pretending to be your boyfriend helps you feel more confident and comfortable at this party, then I'm happy to play that role." They spent the next hour discussing the logistics of their fake relationship performance, establishing a backstory about how their friendship had recently evolved into romance, and agreeing on appropriate levels of physical affection that would sell their story without making either of them uncomfortable. "We'll just need to act naturally affectionate," Cameron explained, trying to ignore the way their heart rate increased at the thought of casual physical contact with Ethan. Hand-holding, standing close together, maybe some casual arm-around-shoulder positioning. Nothing too dramatic, just enough to make it clear that we're together. Ethan nodded, looking relieved and grateful for Cameron's willingness to help him through what promised to be a challenging social situation. "I really appreciate this, Cam. I know it's asking a lot, and I promise I'll make it up to you somehow." Cameron felt touched by Ethan's gratitude and determined to do whatever was necessary to help their friend regain his confidence and social equilibrium. "You don't need to make anything up to me. This is what friends do for each other." The party was being held at a large house near campus that belonged to Sarah Kim, a senior in their friend group, who was known for hosting elaborate social events that brought together students from various academic and social circles. By the time Cameron and Ethan arrived, the party was already in full swing, with music, conversation, and the kind of social energy that made it easy to blend into the crowd. Cameron felt nervous about their fake relationship performance, but also excited about the opportunity to help Ethan feel more confident and to control of his social narrative. They had dressed carefully for the evening, choosing outfits that complemented each other without being obviously coordinated, and Cameron had to admit that they looked good together as a supposed couple. "Remember," Ethan whispered as they approached the front door, "we're naturally affectionate and comfortable with each other. We've been friends for so long that dating feels like a natural evolution rather than a dramatic change." Cameron nodded and took Ethan's hand, surprised by how natural the gesture felt despite the artificial nature of their relationship performance. "Ready to be the cutest couple at this party?" Ethan squeezed Cameron's hand and smiled with the first genuine happiness Cameron had seen from him in weeks. "Ready." As they entered the party together, Cameron felt a strange mixture of nervousness and excitement about their fake relationship experiment. They had no way of knowing that their performance would soon become more complicated than either of them had anticipated, or that what started as a favor for a friend would evolve into something that challenged their understanding of their own feelings and relationship dynamics. The first hour of the party went smoothly, with Cameron and Ethan successfully presenting themselves as a happy couple to their friends and acquaintances. They received congratulations and expressions of pleasure at their relationship development, with several people commenting that they had always thought Cameron and Ethan would make a good match. "You two are so sweet together," Sarah Kim told them during a conversation in the kitchen, where Cameron was helping Ethan get drinks while maintaining casual physical contact that suggested romantic intimacy. "I love that your friendship evolved into something romantic. Those are always the best relationships." Cameron felt a warm glow at Sarah's positive response to their supposed relationship, while also feeling slightly guilty about deceiving their friends with their fake romance performance. But seeing Ethan's confidence and happiness as he received positive social feedback made the deception feel worthwhile and necessary for his emotional recovery. The real test of their performance came when Derek and Marcus made their entrance, arriving together with the kind of obvious couple energy that made their new relationship unmistakable to everyone at the party. Cameron felt Ethan tense beside them and immediately moved closer, providing physical support and emotional solidarity as they prepared to face the challenging encounter. "You've got this," Cameron whispered in Ethan's ear, their breath warm against his skin. "Just remember that you're happy and confident and completely over him." Ethan nodded and straightened his shoulders, drawing strength from Cameron's presence and support. As Derek and Marcus approached their group to say hello and exchange pleasantries, Cameron prepared to give the performance of their life to help their best friend maintain his dignity and emotional equilibrium during what promised to be a difficult social interaction. Chapter 2. The Kiss. The moment Cameron had been dreading and preparing for arrived when Derek Miller approached their conversation group with Marcus Chen in tow, both of them looking confident and happy in ways that were clearly designed to showcase their new relationship status. Cameron felt Ethan's body tense beside them and immediately slipped an arm around Ethan's waist, providing both physical support and visual evidence of their supposed romantic connection. "Ethan, Cameron," Derek said with the kind of overly casual tone that suggested he was working hard to appear unaffected by seeing his ex-boyfriend with someone new. "Good to see you both. You guys look close tonight." Cameron felt irritated by Derek's subtle probing and the slight emphasis he placed on the word close, as if he were fishing for information about the nature of their relationship or expressing surprise that Ethan could have moved on so quickly from their breakup. "We're having a great time," Cameron replied smoothly, tightening their arm around Ethan's waist and smiling with the kind of genuine affection that wasn't entirely fabricated despite the artificial nature of their relationship performance. "It's nice to be able to attend parties together as a couple instead of just as friends." Marcus looked between Cameron and Ethan with apparent interest and approval. "That's really sweet. How long have you two been together?" Derek mentioned that you guys have been friends for years. Cameron felt a moment of panic as they realized they hadn't established a specific timeline for their fictional relationship evolution, but Ethan jumped in with an answer that suggested he had been thinking about this detail. "We've been exploring romantic feelings for each other for a few months now," Ethan said, looking at Cameron with an expression of warmth and affection that felt surprisingly genuine despite their audience. "It just felt natural to let our friendship develop into something deeper when we realized how much we cared about each other." Derek's expression shifted slightly at this explanation, and Cameron could see a flicker of something that might have been jealousy or regret cross his features before he recovered his casual composure. "That's really nice," Derek said, though his tone suggested he found their relationship development more complicated than nice. "I always thought you two had good chemistry as friends. It makes sense that it would work romantically too." Cameron felt increasingly annoyed by Derek's commentary on their relationship, particularly given that he had no right to express opinions about Ethan's romantic choices after ending their relationship so callously. The protective instinct they felt toward Ethan was becoming stronger and more personal than the simple loyalty of friendship. "We think so too," Cameron replied, looking directly at Derek with a smile that was friendly but firm. "Sometimes the best romantic relationships grow out of strong friendships because you already know and appreciate each other's authentic selves." The conversation continued for several more minutes, with Derek and Marcus discussing their own relationship timeline and future plans in ways that seemed designed to emphasize their happiness and commitment. Cameron watched Ethan carefully for signs of emotional distress, but was pleased to see that he seemed genuinely comfortable and confident rather than hurt or jealous. The turning point came when Derek made a comment that crossed the line from casual conversation into obvious territorial behavior designed to undermine Ethan's confidence and their relationship presentation. It's interesting how quickly people can move on from serious relationships, Derek said, ostensibly addressing the group but clearly directing his comment toward Ethan. I guess some connections are deeper and more lasting than others. Cameron felt their anger spike at Derek's obvious attempt to belittle Ethan's feelings and suggest that their previous relationship had been more meaningful than Ethan's current happiness. The protective instinct they felt toward their best friend combined with genuine frustration at Derek's manipulative behavior. Without fully thinking through the implications or consequences, Cameron turned to face Ethan directly, cupped his face gently in their hands, and kissed him with a passion and tenderness that was designed to communicate unmistakable romantic devotion while also serving as a clear response to Derek's implied challenge. The kiss lasted longer than Cameron had intended, partly because they wanted to make sure Derek got the message, but mostly because kissing Ethan felt surprisingly natural and right in ways that had nothing to do with their fake relationship performance. Ethan responded to the kiss with enthusiasm that seemed genuine rather than performative, his arms wrapping around Cameron's waist as if he had been waiting for this moment. When they finally separated, Cameron felt breathless and slightly disoriented by the intensity of their physical and emotional response to what was supposed to be a strategic gesture rather than a genuine romantic expression. The look in Ethan's eyes suggested that he had been equally affected by their kiss, his expression mixing surprise, gratitude, and something deeper that Cameron wasn't quite ready to analyze. The group around them had fallen silent, clearly impressed by the obvious passion and connection between Cameron and Ethan. Derek's expression had shifted from smug superiority to something that looked like genuine surprise and possible regret, while Marcus appeared uncomfortably aware that he had witnessed a moment of authentic intimacy that had implications beyond casual party conversation. Well, Sarah Kim said, breaking the silence with a laugh that suggested both amusement and approval, I think it's safe to say that you two are definitely together. That was quite a display of affection. Cameron felt their cheeks burning with embarrassment and confusion about what had just happened, but they forced themselves to maintain their confident couple persona despite their internal emotional chaos. Sorry, Cameron said with a smile that they hoped appeared more casual than they felt. Sometimes we get a little carried away. Ethan has that effect on me. Ethan's response surprised Cameron with its apparent sincerity. You have the same effect on me, babe, he said, using an endearment that they hadn't discussed or planned but that felt natural and right coming from his lips. The conversation gradually resumed, but Cameron noticed that Derek seemed subdued and less interested in showcasing his new relationship, while Marcus appeared eager to move on to interactions with other party guests. After a few more minutes of increasingly awkward small talk, Derek and Marcus excused themselves to get drinks, leaving Cameron and Ethan alone with their friends in the aftermath of their surprisingly intense public display of affection. Okay, that was definitely convincing, Sarah said once Derek and Marcus were out of earshot. I don't think Derek was expecting that level of passion from you two. You might have actually made him jealous. Cameron felt pleased that their fake relationship performance had been successful in achieving its intended goal, but they were also struggling to process their own emotional response to kissing Ethan and the way it had felt more genuine than strategic. Mission accomplished, I guess, Cameron said, looking at Ethan with uncertainty about how to navigate the aftermath of their intense physical connection in front of their friends and their intended audience. Ethan's expression was warm and appreciative as he looked back at Cameron. Thank you for that, babe. I couldn't have gotten through seeing Derek with Marcus without your support. Cameron felt their hearts skip at hearing Ethan call them babe again, this time without an audience that required their fake relationship performance. The endearment seemed to have stuck beyond its original strategic purpose, creating a new dynamic between them that felt both exciting and confusing. As the party continued around them, Cameron found themselves wondering whether their fake relationship experiment had revealed genuine feelings that had been hidden beneath their friendship, or whether the intensity of their performance had created artificial emotions that would fade once they returned to their normal dynamic. But when Ethan took their hand again and smiled at them with obvious affection and gratitude, Cameron realized that regardless of the original motivation, something had fundamentally shifted in their relationship that night, and they were curious to explore where this unexpected development might lead. Chapter 3: The Aftermath. The walk back to their shared apartment after the party was filled with a charged silence that neither Cameron nor Ethan seemed quite ready to break. They had maintained their couple performance for the rest of the evening, receiving compliments from friends and successfully avoiding any further interaction with Derek and Marcus, but now that they were alone together, the artificial nature of their relationship experiment felt less clear-cut and more complicated. Cameron kept stealing glances at Ethan as they walked, trying to gauge his emotional state and determine whether the evening had been successful in helping him feel better about his breakup with Derek. But they were also struggling to process their own feelings about the kiss they had shared, and the way Ethan had continued calling them babe throughout the rest of the party, even during conversations that didn't require their fake relationship performance. Thank you, Ethan said finally as they reached their apartment building, his voice quiet but sincere. Tonight could have been really horrible, but because of you, I actually had a good time. I felt confident and happy instead of pathetic and heartbroken. Cameron felt pleased that their fake relationship strategy had achieved its intended goal, but they also felt uncertain about how to transition back to their normal friendship dynamic after the intense physical and emotional experience they had shared. "I'm glad it worked out," Cameron replied, fumbling with their keys as they prepared to enter their apartment. "You seemed really comfortable and confident all evening. I don't think Derek was expecting to see you so obviously happy and moved on." Ethan's smile was genuine and grateful as they entered their shared living space. "I couldn't have done it without you, babe. You were amazing tonight, and that kiss." He trailed off, his expression becoming more complex and uncertain. Cameron felt their heart rate increase at the mention of their kiss, which had been replaying in their mind throughout the rest of the evening despite their attempts to focus on maintaining their couple performance for their friends and observers. "The kiss was pretty intense," Cameron agreed, trying to sound casual despite the emotional significance they had felt during and after their physical connection. "I think it definitely sold our relationship story to Derek and everyone else who was watching." Ethan sat down on their living room couch and looked at Cameron with an expression that seemed to combine gratitude, confusion, and something deeper that Cameron couldn't quite identify. "Can I ask you something, babe?" Ethan said, apparently unaware that he was continuing to use the endearment that had originated as part of their fake relationship performance. "When you kissed me tonight, was it purely strategic, or did it feel real to you too?" Cameron felt their breath catch at the directness of Ethan's question and the implication that he had also experienced their kiss as something more meaningful than simple performance art designed to convince their audience. "It felt real," Cameron admitted, sitting down beside Ethan on the couch and trying to process the complexity of their emotions about their best friend and their evening of romantic role-playing. "More real than I was expecting, actually. I kissed you to make a point to Derek, but once we were kissing, it felt like something I wanted to be doing rather than something I was doing for strategic reasons." Ethan's expression brightened with relief and something that looked like hope. "I felt the same way. When you kissed me, it didn't feel like pretending or performing. It felt like something I'd been wanting to happen for a long time without realizing it." Cameron stared at Ethan, trying to process the implications of his confession and what it might mean for their friendship and their future relationship dynamic. "Are you saying that you have feelings for me that go beyond friendship?" Cameron asked, their voice barely above a whisper as they tried to understand what was happening between them. Ethan reached for Cameron's hand, intertwining their fingers in a gesture that felt intimate and natural rather than performative. "I'm saying that tonight made me realize that my feelings for you have been more than friendship for a while now, but I didn't recognize them or acknowledge them because I was so focused on my relationship with Derek," Ethan said, his voice soft but certain. "Pretending to be your boyfriend tonight felt so natural and right that it made me understand what I've been missing by thinking of you only as my best friend." Cameron felt a surge of excitement and nervousness as they processed Ethan's confession and realized that their fake relationship experiment had revealed genuine feelings that had apparently been developing beneath the surface of their friendship. "I think I've had feelings for you too," Cameron admitted, squeezing Ethan's hand and feeling amazed by this unexpected turn in their relationship. "But I convinced myself that they were just the normal affection of close friendship because you were dating Derek and seemed happy with him." Ethan's smile was radiant and relieved. "So what does this mean for us? Do we want to try exploring these feelings and see where they lead, or do we think this is just the aftermath of an emotional evening and our fake relationship performance?" Cameron considered this question, trying to separate their genuine feelings from the excitement and adrenaline of their successful social performance and their satisfaction at helping Ethan feel confident and happy again. "I think we should explore these feelings," Cameron said finally, feeling brave and hopeful about the possibility of transforming their friendship into something romantic and deeper. "But maybe we should take it slowly and make sure that what we're feeling is real and lasting rather than just the result of tonight's emotional intensity." Ethan nodded in agreement, but his expression remained hopeful and affectionate. "I'd like that too, babe. I want to make sure that if we transition from friendship to romance, we're doing it for the right reasons and in a way that honors how much our relationship means to both of us." Cameron felt touched by Ethan's thoughtful approach to their potential romantic evolution, and also amused by his continued use of the endearment that had originated as part of their fake relationship performance. "You're still calling me babe," Cameron observed with a smile. "Is that going to be a permanent thing now or just a leftover habit from tonight's performance?" Ethan looked slightly embarrassed but also pleased. "I like calling you babe. It feels natural and affectionate, and it's a way of expressing how I feel about you that's different from our normal friendship dynamic. Would you like me to stop?" Cameron shook their head immediately. "I like it too. It makes me feel special and cared for in a way that's different from being called by my name. I think you should keep calling me babe if it feels natural to you." Ethan's smile was warm and happy. "In that case, babe, I think we should probably talk about what exploring our feelings actually looks like in practical terms. Do we want to go on official dates? Do we want to tell our friends that our fake relationship has become real? Do we want to establish new boundaries and expectations for our living situation?" Cameron appreciated Ethan's practical approach to their relationship transition, recognizing that changing from roommate best friends to romantic partners would require careful navigation and clear communication about their expectations and boundaries. "I think we should start with dates," Cameron said, feeling excited about the prospect of spending intentional romantic time with Ethan.
Maybe we could plan some activities that are specifically designed for us to explore our connection as potential romantic partners rather than just friends who are hanging out. Ethan agreed enthusiastically to this suggestion. I'd love to take you on proper dates, babe. I want to court you and show you how much I appreciate and care about you in ways that go beyond friendship. As they continued planning their transition from fake relationship performance to genuine romantic exploration, Cameron felt grateful for the unexpected turn their evening had taken. What had started as a favor to help their best friend navigate ex-boyfriend drama had evolved into an opportunity to discover and explore feelings that might have remained hidden indefinitely without the catalyst of their fake relationship experiment. Looking at Ethan's happy and affectionate expression, Cameron felt confident that their friendship was strong enough to support whatever romantic development might emerge from their newfound awareness of their deeper feelings for each other. Chapter 4. The Real Thing.
3 weeks after their fake relationship debut at Sarah's party, Cameron and Ethan had successfully navigated the transition from performance art to genuine romance through a series of carefully planned dates and increasingly intimate conversations about their feelings and relationship goals. Their first official date had been a picnic in the campus botanical garden, where they had been able to talk honestly about their attraction to each other without the pressure of maintaining a performance for observers. "It's weird how natural this feels," Ethan had observed during their picnic, reaching across the blanket to take Cameron's hand in a gesture that was now motivated by genuine affection rather than strategic social positioning. "I was worried that trying to be romantic would make our friendship feel artificial or forced, but instead it feels like we're finally being honest about feelings that were already there." Cameron had agreed with this assessment, noting that their romantic conversations and physical affection felt like a natural evolution of their existing emotional intimacy rather than a dramatic departure from their previous dynamic. "I think we've always had more than friendship chemistry," Cameron had replied, appreciating the way Ethan's thumb traced patterns on their palm in a gesture that was both soothing and exciting. "We just didn't recognize it or act on it because we were both focused on other relationships and other assumptions about what our connection meant." Their second date had been more adventurous, involving a hiking trail that led to a waterfall where they could talk privately about their relationship goals and expectations for their romantic development. Ethan had surprised Cameron by being more physically affectionate than their friendship had ever included, holding their hand during the hike and pulling them close for spontaneous kisses that felt natural and right rather than performative. "I love that I can kiss you whenever I want to now," Ethan had said during one of their rest stops, his arms wrapped around Cameron's waist as they stood together looking out over the valley below. "During our fake relationship performance, I kept thinking about how much I wanted to kiss you for real rather than just for show." Cameron had been touched by this confession, recognizing that their fake relationship experiment had created opportunities for Ethan to recognize and acknowledge feelings that he might not have otherwise explored. "I wanted that too," Cameron had admitted, leaning into Ethan's embrace and feeling amazed by how perfectly they fit together physically and emotionally. "Every time you called me babe during the party, it felt more real and meaningful than I was expecting." Their third date had been a stay-at-home movie night that had evolved into the kind of intimate conversation and physical closeness that marked their transition from dating to serious relationship territory. They had talked about their individual relationship histories, their hopes for their future together, and their appreciation for the way their romantic connection had developed out of their existing friendship and mutual respect. "I feel like we skipped a lot of the usual dating anxiety and uncertainty because we already know each other so well," Cameron had observed as they cuddled together on their couch, sharing a bowl of popcorn and watching a film that neither of them was really paying attention to. Ethan had nodded in agreement, running his fingers through Cameron's hair in a gesture that was becoming a favorite form of casual physical affection between them. "It's nice to be able to focus on exploring our romantic and physical compatibility instead of trying to figure out whether we like each other's personalities or share similar values," Ethan had said. "We already know that we're compatible as people. Now we're just discovering whether we're compatible as romantic partners." Their relationship development had not gone unnoticed by their friends, who had initially been confused about whether Cameron and Ethan's romance was genuine or still part of their fake relationship performance designed to make Derek jealous. "Wait, are you guys actually dating now, or are you still pretending for Derek's benefit?" Sarah Kim had asked during a group dinner the previous week, looking back and forth between Cameron and Ethan with obvious curiosity about their relationship status. Cameron and Ethan had exchanged amused glances before Ethan answered for both of them. "We're actually dating now," Ethan had said, reaching across the table to take Cameron's hand in a gesture that was clearly genuine rather than performative. "It turns out that pretending to be romantically involved helped us realize that we actually wanted to be romantically involved for real." Their friends had been universally supportive and enthusiastic about their relationship development, with several people commenting that they had always thought Cameron and Ethan would make a good couple, but had never mentioned it because they seemed happy as friends. "You two are so perfect together," their friend Jake had observed during the group dinner conversation. "You have the same sense of humor, you support each other's goals and interests, and you obviously care about each other deeply. Plus, you're both really attractive, so you make a beautiful couple." Cameron had felt pleased by their friend's positive response to their relationship, but they had also been surprised by how much more natural and comfortable their public displays of affection felt when they were motivated by genuine feelings rather than social strategy. "It's funny how different it feels to kiss you in front of our friends now that we're actually together," Cameron had told Ethan later that evening as they walked home from dinner together. "When I kissed you at Sarah's party, I was nervous about performing convincingly. Now I just kiss you because I want to, and I don't think about how it looks to other people." Ethan had smiled at this observation, stopping to kiss Cameron on the sidewalk in a gesture that was spontaneous and affectionate rather than calculated for audience effect. "I love that we can just be ourselves together now instead of trying to manage other people's perceptions or expectations," Ethan had replied. "Being in a real relationship with you is so much better than pretending to be in a relationship with you, even though the pretending led us to the real thing." The most significant test of their relationship had come when they encountered Derek and Marcus at another social gathering, this time without any advanced planning or strategic preparation for the interaction. Cameron had been curious to see how Ethan would react to seeing his ex-boyfriend now that his romantic attention was focused on someone new, rather than still processing the pain and rejection of their breakup. "Hey, Ethan and Cameron," Derek had said when they ran into each other at a campus coffee shop, his tone noticeably more subdued than it had been during their previous encounter at Sarah's party. "How are things going with you two?" Cameron had felt Ethan's hand squeeze theirs slightly, but his response had been confident and genuine rather than defensive or performative. "Things are going really well," Ethan had replied, smiling at Cameron with obvious affection before turning back to Derek. "We're really happy together. How are you and Marcus doing?" Derek's expression had been harder to read, but Cameron had detected something that might have been regret or wistfulness in his voice when he responded. "We're doing well too," Derek had said, though his tone lacked the enthusiasm and confidence he had displayed during their previous interaction. "I'm glad things worked out for you guys. You seem really happy together." After Derek and Marcus had left to continue their coffee date, Cameron had asked Ethan how he felt about seeing his ex-boyfriend again now that their own relationship had developed into something genuine and serious. "I felt completely fine," Ethan had said, seeming slightly surprised by his own emotional response to the encounter. "I wasn't angry or hurt or jealous, I was just indifferent, I guess. Derek feels like someone from my past rather than someone who still has any emotional impact on my present." Cameron had felt pleased by Ethan's healthy emotional response to seeing Derek, recognizing it as evidence that Ethan had genuinely moved on from their previous relationship rather than simply masking his feelings through their new romance. "I'm glad you feel that way," Cameron had said, leaning across the coffee shop table to kiss Ethan softly. "It means that what we have together is real and meaningful rather than just a rebound relationship or a way of avoiding dealing with your feelings about Derek." Ethan had returned Cameron's kiss with enthusiasm, then looked at them with an expression of love and appreciation that made Cameron feel confident about their future together. "What we have is definitely real, babe," Ethan had said, using the endearment that had become a natural part of his vocabulary when addressing Cameron. "I love you, and I'm grateful every day that our fake relationship experiment led us to discover what we actually mean to each other." Cameron had felt their heart skip at Ethan's casual declaration of love, realizing that they felt the same way but had been waiting for the right moment to express their feelings so directly. "I love you too," Cameron had replied, feeling amazed by how naturally and easily the words came once they allowed themselves to acknowledge the depth of their feelings for Ethan. As they sat together in the coffee shop, holding hands and smiling at each other with obvious happiness and affection, Cameron reflected on the unexpected journey that had led them from best friends to fake boyfriends to genuine romantic partners who were completely devoted to each other. Chapter 5. Ever After. 6 months after their fake relationship performance at Sarah's party, Cameron and Ethan had settled into a romantic partnership that felt both natural and exciting, combining the comfort and security of their long-standing friendship with the passion and intimacy of their romantic connection. Their relationship had become the gold standard among their friend group for how romantic partnerships could develop out of strong platonic foundations, and they had become the couple that other people looked to for advice about navigating the transition from friendship to romance. "The secret to our success," Cameron explained to their friend Lisa, who was considering pursuing romantic feelings for her own best friend, "is that we were already emotionally intimate and completely comfortable with each other before we added the romantic and physical dimensions. We didn't have to learn how to communicate or trust each other because we'd already developed those skills through our friendship." Ethan nodded in agreement with Cameron's assessment of their relationship success factors. "Plus, we were both motivated to make our relationship work because we valued our connection too much to risk destroying it through careless romantic behavior. We approached dating each other with the same respect and consideration that had made our friendship so strong." Cameron and Ethan had also become more intentional about maintaining the friendship elements that had originally attracted them to each other, ensuring that their romantic development didn't overshadow the intellectual and emotional compatibility that had formed the foundation of their connection. They still had their late-night philosophical conversations, their shared appreciation for independent films and obscure music, and their mutual support for each other's academic and career goals. But now these friendship activities were enhanced by physical affection, romantic gestures, and the kind of intimate partnership that made them feel like they were building a real future together. "I love that we can be best friends and romantic partners at the same time,"
Ethan told Cameron during one of their regular relationship check-ins, where they discussed their feelings and experiences to ensure that their transition from friendship to romance continued to feel positive and healthy for both of them. Cameron agreed with this sentiment, appreciating the way their romantic relationship had expanded rather than replaced their friendship dynamic. "I feel like we have the best of both worlds. We have the deep emotional connection and mutual support of a strong friendship, plus the passion and intimacy of a romantic partnership." Their living situation had also evolved to accommodate their new relationship status, with Cameron moving into Ethan's bedroom and transforming their previous separate spaces into a shared home environment that reflected their partnership while still honoring their individual needs and interests.
"It's nice to fall asleep together every night and wake up together every morning," Cameron observed, enjoying the domestic intimacy that had developed as their relationship deepened. "But I also appreciate that we each still have our own space for individual activities and alone time when we need it." Ethan appreciated this balance between togetherness and independence, recognizing that their relationship worked so well partly because they had maintained their individual identities while